Hello, beautiful souls. What you're going to hear upcoming in this episode is me channeling Archangel Michael. He asked me to dive into this session to talk to you about what comes out when I work with people on their inner child needs in a session. I really didn't even know completely where I was going through until the end of the episode. And what he really did was walk through each part of a session and the steps, the layers of a session that I have with a person who needs to do some inner child work. So I really hope you enjoy it. I'm so excited for you to dive in. One more announcement before you dive in. We have a smaller group for the September cohort of the Angel Reiki School. And friends, I don't have any issue saying that sometimes that's meant to be. And it's really because some folks like to have smaller groups to learn in. So if that's you and you want to sign up and still be in the September cohort of the Angel Reiki School, we have room, we have space for you. Either email or call the office. Information is in the show notes below, and we'll get you all set up for that. All my love friends, now here is the show. Hello, beautiful souls. You're listening to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host, Julie Jancius, and today we are diving into the topic of how to heal your inner child. Friend, we have a course coming up. I did change the name of the course. It used to be something about ancestral trauma, and we changed it to Healing Your Inner Child. And what I want to do today is kind of just share a lot of information that I have learned over the years about the journey of what it is to do inner child work. As I started doing this work, I had this beautiful angel story that came about. And I really want to share that with you too, because I feel like it's going to give you more perspective on how spirit works with us to heal the inner child and how closely integrated it really is to working with our ancestors on the other side. Okay, so let's dive in. So, for over a year now, Archangel Michael has been asking me to teach a course on ancestral trauma and inner child work. And if you believe these two things to be separate topics, I'm just going to say it. You're wrong. They are tied together so much more than you think. Friends, I have done thousands of sessions with clients over the years. And Archangel Michael has channeled through me information about the inner child and our ancestors that I really haven't seen or read or watched anywhere else. When a client comes to me and they say, Julie, I've done so much spiritual work, and yet I'm still not where I want to be. What am I doing wrong? Archangel Michael will always come in, and first off, he's saying, you haven't done anything wrong, but he whispers this sign symbol to me, and he says, ancestral energy, inner child. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Client comes in and they're like, I've done everything that I feel like I'm supposed to do, but I'm still not where I want to be. And Archangel Michael will whisper, ancestral energy, inner child. It's the phrase or sign that Archangel Michael and I established years ago. And it means, yes, this client has done a ton of spiritual work, and that's amazing, but they haven't done their work yet on their ancestral energy nor their inner child. And we have to keep going. There's more layers to peel back in order for them to understand their soul and really your soul's journey. There's so much in this too when you start peeling back layers where you're going to see, oh my goodness, this is tied into my purpose and I had no idea. Or, oh my goodness, I'm tapping in, I'm tuning in, because so much of this work that we're going to do together in the upcoming course I'm teaching, Healing Your Inner Child. And yes, we did change the course name. So it starts September 6th, but now it's called Healing Your Inner Child, is so tied in. And what I want to say here is we're doing so many Angel Reiki energy healing sessions as a group together. They're pre-recorded. throughout this 12-week course. And what's going to happen is this work is also deeply tied into your life plan on the other side. So you're going to have all of these aha moments, and spirit has showed me you're going to be in meditation, or I'm going to be leading through you through an angel reiki session pre-recorded, and you're going to have these insights and see your life plan from the other side, from the akashic records, and so much more is going to come in where you're like, aha, like I get it now. And that's what I want for you. That's why I'm putting this together. So Archi so Archangel Michael says that if you haven't spent time doing the work of really understanding your ancestral energy and your inner child, then a majority of your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors are really still subconsciously dominated by your inner child, even if you've done all of this other spiritual work. One of the analogies that Archangel Michael will use is, imagine that you are a kid's beach bucket, right? Kids take those plastic beach buckets to the beach to fill them up with sand, make sand castles. Okay, so this is you. And let's say that you actually start off with all of this sand in the top, right? That's all the work that you're doing, the spiritual work to really clear out the sand as best you can, right? So you keep cleaning it out with water, cleaning it out with water at the beach, and you get to the bottom. You get all of the sand cleared out, and what's left over? Archangel Michael says if you haven't done this work with your ancestry, with your inner child, it's almost like you do all of this other spiritual work to clear out the sand. And once you do, there's still like this concrete remnants stuck to the bottom and the sides, a little bit of your bucket. And what doing this work does is clear it fully. Does that make sense? Where you're doing all the work. So, by doing this work, you regain control of your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors. You really learn to live more fully in the present. And you not only see your life differently, but you start to live your life differently. Over the past 20 years, I myself have taken a lot of courses on inner child work and ancestral trauma. And sometimes it really hurts my heart how some can take us to this heavy place within us. And what I want you to realize is that it's not bypassing the work. We still have to do the work, but we don't have to go to this heavy place or this dark place. And so, what Archangel Michael also does whenever you hop into ancestral work, inner child work, is really start out with how do you practice detachment, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about very first in the course is how do you do this work without attaching? Because your egoic mind can very easily come into any situation, any scenario and say, okay, well, this person in my family struggled with alcohol or drug addiction or this. Julie, are you saying that just because I have an ancestor who struggled with this, that I am too? And that's not it, right? That's not it at all. So, whether you do this work with me or with someone else, it's not about going to this deep, dark place. In fact, it's really just the opposite. But you can only make that so and really feel high vibration as you go through this if you can learn to practice that detachment. And that's something that we're going to work on from the get go with this course. So, this 12-week course is everything that Archangel Michael has channeled through me over the years about, the wounded little girl inside of each of us. This course really aims to keep you in the highest vibrational oneness energy, connecting you with your ancestors you didn't even know were working with you as part of your spirit team. and bringing spiritual resolve to that little girl within you. It's really interesting because I have had the blessing of getting to work with thousands of people in sessions over the years. And what's really fascinating is that it never fails. If I bring in a great grandparent for somebody, a grandparent for them, and they're like, Julie, I never met them. I never met them. What people do automatically, and I'd say this is like 95% of people, is people shut down right then when I say that. I feel it in their energy. It's like, boom. They go, nope, that's not for me. I never met that person. You must have the wrong person, reconnect in with the other side. And Archangel Michael will smile, and I'll look at Archangel Michael. I say, keep going. And he'll nod and he'll say, keep going. So I'll say, no, you don't understand. Your spirit team is so much larger than you realize. Okay. And just because you haven't met someone who was part of your ancestry, you haven't met your great grandma or your great grandpa, or even your grandparents, or maybe you didn't even get to meet a parent of yours, doesn't mean that they're not connected to you. And we know that they're connected to you because their DNA is passed down to you. You carry parts of them. And what we have to really step back and realize, and this is where some angel stories start to come in, but I'm going to save those for the end, is that your ancestors, they had their own hopes and dreams and goals and wants in this lifetime. They had their own faith in the divine. They had a path that they were on. They had some amazing skills, talents, and abilities. And they had some, everybody's got their vices. Okay. Everybody's got, some negative traits. Okay. You know, but they had hopes, dreams, and desires. And for some of our ancestors, yes, they got to live this beautiful, wonderful life to the age of 100 plus. And some of our ancestors' lives were cut short. They passed younger. Friends, it really doesn't matter the length of a person's life. There is no way, and this is what Archangel Michael says all the time, there is no way for one human to achieve all that there is to achieve in one single lifetime, right? So I want you to stop and just really grasp this because it's so profound and it's so deep. Even if you lived your best life, even if you lived to 105, you can't do all that there is to be done in this world. And so what happens? People come in your ancestry. You are going to possibly have kids, grandkids, great grandkids yourself. And why is their soul coming on? Why is their soul signing up for this trip to Earth to live this life? Something connects them to the mission that you're on right here, right now in your life. And they want to carry that on. They want to keep it going. They want to fulfill the purpose. Okay. You see that? You feel that? Now, let's say that you have, I'm just saying, right? Let's say that you have these great grandkids in the future. And let's say that you lived to 105, but let's say, I don't know, you didn't get to meet them, right? You're on the other side. You didn't get to meet them. Their soul is here. In some way, their soul is continuing on the legacy of your life, what you were working towards purpose wise in your life plan. Now you're on the other side, and what are you doing? You're still connected to them. They're part of your soul family. You know them from eons and eons and eons on the other side. Are you just chilling by a beach on the other side, drinking a foo-foo drink? No! You're probably doing that because omnipresent souls have the ability to be everywhere all at once. However, a part of you is still connected to your future ancestors when you're on the other side. And you're going to be helping them. You're going to be helping your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids from the other side to fulfill what it was that you started or you continued, because your energy is so deeply ingrained to it. It's a part of you. Okay. And so if you take this and you look at it in reverse, right? Now go back to what I was originally saying. I get into my sessions and somebody comes through, that you weren't expecting to hear from. And I normally get to the end of my sessions and I'll say, do you have any questions? Did anybody come through or not come through that you want? And most people will say no, right? And 95% of people go, Julie, I had a list. I wanted all these people to come through and I wanted, these topics to come through. And you hit all of the questions that I had. I'm like, yes. All right. Okay. But if somebody wasn't on your list, people shut down and they say, well, that couldn't be. I didn't even know them. There's no way that they could come through for me, right? Wrong. They are as tied to you as you will be to your great grandkids when you're on the other side, and they're still working through your purpose here, right? They're continuing it on. And so when we look back and see that, we realize, and I hope that you feel this because, man, your ancestors are here. They're with you right here, right now. Your great grandparents, your grandparents, and parents, if you have them on the other side, they're here right now and they're nodding and they're saying, listen, we don't leave you just because we're on the other side. There were wants, dreams, desires that we had when we were here, and we weren't able to fulfill it even within 100 years. And your soul, you that's listening right here, right now, when you were a soul on the other side, you knew this. Stuff gets passed down. And you said, okay, here's how my soul can help. Here's the lessons that I want to learn. Here's how I can be of service. And so we have to do some work within ourselves to open up our hearts and say, hey, just because I didn't meet them, just because I didn't meet my great grandparents or my grandparents, they passed before I was born, doesn't mean that they're not with you, right? And so I want you to really see this. And I want you to see this work for what it is. It's not heavy. It's not dark. There is so much that is tied in here when you just dive into this work. And I hope that you feel how passionate I am about this work. You peel back layers, right? Just one layer at a time. And you start to see so much more about your life plan on the other side, right? If you were to look at your life plan in the Akashic records, you'd see all of these different threads of your purpose here and how it's tied to people who came before you. And you'd see how you didn't just inherit some of the purposes that they had, but you also inherited some of their struggles too. And when you start to see this all together, it's this huge epiphany and this additional spiritual awakening, right? Because I don't believe that spiritual awakening happens like within a split second and it's like, okay, I've got it. I'm good. I don't have to do any more work. Awakening is like a flower that's blooming and starts to open. It's one step at a time, peeling back one layer at a time. It's awakening over and over and over again. So as you do this work, you have these huge epiphanies and awakenings, and you go, I get it now. Oh my goodness. This this is why I've been struggling with this for so long. And it's within me, because some things our family's been working through generations, right? And some things are meant to be healed and stopped through your life, right? I get it now. This person struggled with this, and I don't have to let the next generation go on and struggle with this. I can do the work. I can heal this part. And that's what I want for you. So when you do this work, you bring spiritual resolve to this little girl within you, and things in your entire life start to shift. So your inner child, she'll be a piece of you that's with you for your entire life. And if you haven't done any inner child work, I'm going to tell you, she's most likely got some issues, okay? If you haven't done any work on your inner child, she may be sad. She may be angry. She may not feel loved. The emotion she holds is an emotion within you. To not honor her, to not look at her, to not understand how to work with her is the same as just letting those emotions subconsciously just run wild within you. And friends, this is where dis-ease begins. Dis-ease, right? We think we're awakened. We think we've done all of our work, right? Go back to the analogy. Sand is out of the bucket. Julie, I've done everything. I've done all my spiritual work. Okay, what have you done to look at your inner child, to be with her, to sit with her, and to look at your ancestors? Because if you haven't done this work, there's still concrete at the end of your bucket that needs to be worked up and out. And if it hasn't, we're still living in subways subconsciously, and we're still allowing dis-ease to come in. So what's more is if you haven't worked with your inner child, she is most certainly acting out, blocking you from what it is that you want, and you don't even realize it's happening. Okay. Because this is what happens in my sessions. And I hope that you see this entire, podcast episode today is really me kind of walking you through what I see in a session when somebody has ancestral trauma work to do, inner child work to do, and Archangel Michael is right there. So a person will come in, we went through everything so far. Archangel Michael steps in. Okay, they've got some inner child stuff to work on. They haven't done that work yet. Okay. What does that feel like energetically within the person? What does that really look like within you? It looks like two opposing truths that you're holding within yourself. So if you imagine, you have a bar graph and one bar goes up 50% and then another bar goes up 50%. What that first bar that goes up 50%, that's what you want, right? That's your goals, that's your purpose in life, that's what you're working towards. Your wants, desires, needs. Okay? If you haven't done your work with your inner child and she's angry or sad or doesn't feel love, then that second bar is actually her acting out, asking to be seen, and blocking what it is you want to come in. Not intentionally. She's not bad. Your inner child isn't bad. You can't reprimand her into submission. She needs to be seen. She needs to be loved. She's calling out. She's acting out in order to try and get your attention. Okay. So if you haven't done your work, a lot of times you're going to have two opposing truths within you. And energetically, these two opposing truths cancel one another out with energy. So here you are, and you're like, Julie, I'm running hard. I'm running towards my goals. But if you have two truths within you that cancel one another out energetically, you're not running outside on the pavement towards your goals, you're running on a hamster wheel. Okay, because the energies have canceled one another out and you're stagnant. You're not going anywhere. You're stationary. Okay. So your inner child isn't bad and she's just needing your help. She's just needing love. So this is where Archangel Michael steps in even more. And he's developed this beautiful way for you to heal that inner child. And it's totally, completely tied into working with your ancestry. And he wants to share this with you. So I'm still going to tell the angel story. I'm still going to tell you, I want to just tell you like what we're going to talk about over the 12 weeks. What happened was, for those who are angel members, this was part of the course that's dripped in over the course of a year. What happened was I thought that I could split these apart because normally I just do a 4-week course. Okay. So I thought I could do a 4-week course on working with your ancestors, a 4-week course on inner child work, and then another 4-week course on being an empath. And as I really started to lay out and just channel the content and how the angels wanted to teach it, because that's the way that I teach. I'm just like, okay, I'm going into meditation. I'm going to channel. I've got my laptop in front of me. Spirit, take it away. And if you've ever taken one of my courses, that's all it is. It's just spirit channeling things through me. So I sat down to like write out the first course, and Archangel Michael is shaking his head. And I'm like, what? You've been asking me to, do this course for years. And he's like, it's not going to work like this. Like, this is deep, deep stuff. Like, you can't ask people to get through this content in 4 weeks here, 4 weeks there. It all overlaps. Like I can't give you and I can't channel into you a way to do this in 4 weeks. You have to expand this out. So at first I was like, okay, well, then we'll do it over 8 weeks. And he's like shaking his head again. He's like, 12 weeks. Like, we need 12 weeks to get through this material so that people can really have the time and the space to go deep within themselves on each topic. So that's what we're going to do. And if you've taken any of my courses before, normally they're the cost of a session, right? And so if you took all 3 of these courses, it would end up coming out to about $933. What I want to do for you so that everybody can take this, because as you've seen today, it's such important work. It impacts every area of your life, is that for a limited time, you can register for this 12-week course for $349, which is just a little over the cost of a session. And it starts September 6th, but you can really join at any time. If you want to go through it live, definitely register if you can by September 6th. If you're like, Julie, I'm listening to this, but it's after September 6th, still come on, right? I want to get as many people into this work because I know that it's just going to be so helpful. And this is what I feel in a session. And this is why I do these courses, because you can see how intensive this is and just how much there is here. And I can't get through it in one session with you, just one sitting. So here I am. I have these beautiful sessions with people, and they're like, okay, I want to do this inner child work. Where do I go? Yes, now we have a place. This is where you go if you want to do this inner child work. What do you get when you register? It's going to end up being about 17 to 20 hours of content that's dripped in 1 week at a time. There will be over 5 hours of teaching content. I think there's about 6 hours of angel Reiki energy healing, pre recorded sessions to guide you, to connect you to your ancestors and spiritually heal your inner child. This is really going to be fun too. We're going to have 2 live ceremonies. I love ceremonies because they just feel like so high vibrational. One is when we invite your ancestors in, we honor them, we ask them to help. And another, I don't know if you realize this, but there are traditions around the world that honor people our ancestors in the fall, right? Like Halloween was not intended for you to just dress up. It was intended for us to honor our loved ones. So we're going to do like a sacred ceremony around Halloween to honor our ancestors and connect with them more deeply. Okay, there will also be times for live question and answers where you can jump on with me. I'll be live. You can ask questions. There's going to be a workbook for you to download and work through and keep, and just so much more. So, if you were an angel member before July 1st, this course, this is what you're going through. This is what we're doing in the angel membership from September 6th through November 28th. If you're not in the angel membership but still want to take that course, that's why we reduce the price for you to get as many people in to do this work as possible. So it's $349. It's on my website, theangelmedium.com. Archangel Michael and I are so excited to work with you. I know I keep telling you I'm going to tell you this angel story, and I'm like dying to tell you this angel story because it's going to piece so much more together for you. But there's a lot of commotion at my house, and I have to get this podcast episode off to the podcast producer. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that angel story for Thursday, and I can't wait for you to hear it. All right, friends, I love you so much. Spirit loves you so much. Open up your heart to all of the unexpected blessings that are coming your way. All my love, friends. Mwah.